Yeah, good Tavach, Afreilach Havach. Tonight is the birthday of the Rebbe Marash, and the Rebbe Marash taught the following very famous teaching. The world says if you can't go under the obstacle, you have an obstacle, you can't go under the obstacle, try to go over the obstacle. But I say, said the Rebbe Marash, to go straight over. What that means is, in other words, is that there is no obstacle, that a Jew is connected to Hashem, and therefore a Jew is already above the obstacle. There are no obstacles. So on that note, I wanted to share with you tonight an incredible story that's still going on. Um, the spiritual renaissance that happened last half a century in France, that really is not so known how it began, but those who are more familiar with history in Paris know that 90% of religious Jews in Paris can trace their beginnings to the connection to Hashem, to a group of Jews who were inspired by the Rebbe's emissary to Paris, Rabbi Mullah Zimov. Arguably, Rabbi Mullah Zimov inspired incredible amount of people to come closer to Hashem. I don't know if there is a race for the best and the highest and the most, but he's certainly in the running. So I wanted to share a story which exhibits this principle going straight over, and the transformation that France has had as a result spiritually and continues to grow and grow. This is from the purview of one of the first people that Rabbi Yazimov inspired, Rabbi Chaim Malul, who's today an emissary of the Rebbe in Paris. Rabbi Malul, from the youngest age, was educated in a non-Jewish school, and his family really didn't have any open connection to Judaism, but they made a bar mitzvah for him. And at the bar mitzvah, someone gave him a present. The present was um, Talks and Tales in French. Talks and Tales is a publication that Chabad put out in, I think, I want to say the 40s, when it started to come out. And in France, they had translated a lot of these pamphlets, and someone had given him a book of these pamphlets. And he, as young bar mitzvah, 13-year-old boy, this is his first exposure to Judaism, and he really enjoyed the way it was presented, the comic strips that were inside there, and other stories, and it left a very favorable impression on him. And so he felt like some kind of a connection to Chabad Hasidus, to Chabad Hasidim, because he really enjoyed that book, which was his first introduction to Judaism. So years go by, and he sees a newspaper that there is a new phenomena. There is some Chabad rabbi who's giving public classes in Hasidus, and it's very interesting for university students. At the time, he was studying in a university in Paris, and he wanted to participate. He wanted to be part of this. But the only address he had he didn't say in the newspaper where these classes were taking place. So the only address he had was in that book that he got when he was 13 years old. He looked in the book, and the book said where the office of Chabad was. He called his friend Jerry Cohen. Jerry, you got to come with me. He he really wanted to go. And Jerry didn't know what this guy was talking about, but like, Jerry, this is a great thing. Today, Jerry Cohen is Shalom Cohen and a chassid, but Jerry, you got to come with me. Jerry, this is amazing. Okay, they go to the office, the address on the book, but unfortunately for them, the Chabad central office had moved to another location, and it wasn't like today could just Google where the location was. They had no idea. And so he was hoping that he would get apparently he was subscribed to get the Talks and Tales as they came out, the new pamphlet every month. But unluckily for him, the next pamphlet came out 6 months later. 6 months later, he gets the next pamphlet, and there it has the new address of Chabad in Paris, and he makes his way right over there. And the whoever was in the office directed Chaim Malul to go, Rabbi Malul, to the home of Rabbi Shmuel Azimov alav Shalom. And there, he was really impressed. Rabbi Azimov was teaching Hasidus to a large group of students, people just like him, young people, interested, excited to learn more about life and about Judaism. And when he entered, together with his friend, the Rabbi Azimov changed the subject a little bit to speak about more general subjects that were more relevant and relatable to him and to his friend. And um, he was very touched, very moved, and he decided to continue to go to these classes. And so these classes took place regularly, and he was present. He came and he was excited about it. He and his friends. This was something new and something interesting, something that touched them. After a while of these classes, Rabbi Zimov said that he had arranged for whoever would like to go to the Chabad Yeshiva in Renoir, which I was privileged to study there also. And in Renoir, there was going to be a program for 2 months in the summertime for people who are off from college. They can go to in the summertime to Renoir and they could study. So he and several others of this group that were studying with Rabbi Zimov, they went to Renoir, and this opened up a whole new world for them. First of all, they never knew about the ocean of the Talmud. Right? Mulul says he couldn't imagine the length and breadth and depth of the Talmud. It was just like blew his mind. And I mean, you could see, as Maimonides says, in one Mishnah, you could see how much information is compact in one Mishnah, and you could see how a Mishnah was authored by a divine source. So he was very impressed with the Mishnah, very impressed with the teachings of Hasidus, of course, and with the atmosphere. They had Hasidic gatherings and Farbrengens, and it was really, really, really special. Rabbi Nissen Nemenov, alav Shalom, who was the head of this yeshiva, he spoke to the group in Yiddish, and he told them, "You guys, you're joining this yeshiva. You have to participate fully. You have to come on time." And he made them feel like they really were part of this group. And so this really made a major impression on him. And when the summer was over, he was changed a lot. After that summer, Rabbi Azimov arranged for the boys to go visit the Rebbe in 1969, to go to the Rebbe for the holiday of Tishrei, for the holiday month of Tishrei, Shoshana, Yom Kippur, Simchas Torah. And the Rebbe, and although it became very common for 770 to welcome all kinds of people from all over the world, hundreds and thousands of people from all over, at this time, this was very unique. And the Rebbe spoke to his secretary, Rabbi Chadakov, for example. Rabbi Mulul discovered how much interest the Rebbe paid to this group. For example, Rabbi Chadakov was told by the Rebbe, is there a place that's been set up for these guys so they can have a cup of tea? Anyway, so it was very special, of course, to be with the Rebbe for the holidays. And one thing that happened was that the various guests were invited on Sukkot to receive from the Rebbe's office, directly from the Rebbe, a lulav, an esrog, hadassim, meraves. Not everyone got a full set. There was a different people got different things from the Rebbe's holy hands, an esrog, a lulav, something like that. So they made a raffle amongst the group, and Rabbi Mulul was chosen to be the representative. He didn't know what to do in their room exactly because he was the first time he's participating in this kind of a thing. And he comes into the room, and the Rebbe, he doesn't know what to do, so he asked another chassid, Rabbi Ben Zion Shem Tov, alav Shalom, what do I do here? He said, I'll show you. He said he'll show him, but he went into the Rebbe's room. He was all of a sudden, like overwhelmed himself, and he couldn't show him anything. So this poor guy, he's in the Rebbe's room, and he doesn't know what to do. So everyone knew what to do. Everyone took the lulav, the esrog, the hadassim, meraves, where they're supposed to take. Everyone passes by the Rebbe and they receive a blessing. he didn't know what to do. So he so everyone else left the room. So he figures he has to grab stuff. So he just grabs whatever he can grab, and and then the Rebbe asked him, "How many hadassim did you take?" So he's checking the amount of hadassim, and the Rebbe says, "How many are there in your group?" He says, 12. So the Rebbe says, if there's 12, you should take 12 hadassim, 12 myrtles for your lulav. Okay. He takes the 12 myrtles, which is the Rebbe's blessing, and as he's going out, the Rebbe took a lone one more myrtle, one more hadas, and handed it to him. And the Rebbe said, they didn't say anything, but give him that one more. Okay, it was 13. He walks out of the Rebbe's room. He walks out of 770, and a taxi is pulling up to 770. A 13th guy had decided to join the group after they had already left, and the Rebbe had already set aside another myrtle in his honor. Okay. Um, Today in Chabad, no one pays any attention. It's not surprising at all to hear people sing the Marseillaise. The Marseillaise is considered a Hasidic song. But how did it become a Hasidic song? This was because of the Simchas Torah that these students spent by the Rebbe. Um, the Rebbe asked in the middle of the celebration of Simchas Torah that all the French visitors should come together. Rabbi Mulul says he tried to get there because Rebbe said everyone should come, but how should he get there? So he landed there and he fell on the floor in front of the Rebbe, hitting the bima. And the Rebbe said, "Where's everyone else?" And the Rebbe pointed out, "There's somewhere in the crowd. Ask Rabbi Azimov to announce that all the French guests should come forward." All the French guests eventually made their way, and the Rebbe started to sing the song "Ha'aderes ve'emuna" to the tune of the Marseillaise. Ha'aderes ve'emuna l'chayei elamim, v'eina v'abracha l'chayei elamim. 1916, 19, Tafshin Lamed, if I remember correctly. Oops. So, okay. So this is incredible. The Rebbe is starting the song, and they're singing with them. And none of the Hasidim know this song, but all the French guys, they know the song. Everyone's told a friend of mine's mother in a private audience that when you sing a song, you're connecting to the author of the song. And that's why it's very important to sing a song that was authored by someone who had good intention when he made the song, because basically the energy of the person who was singing, he affects you when you're singing that song. The thoughts and feelings that produced the song, they go into you when you sing the song, when you sing a song of someone. So therefore, they were told my friend's mother that's why you should sing Jewish songs. So the Rebbe said, however, tzaddikim have the power to transform an unholy song and to make an unholy song into a holy song. And that is exactly what happened there. The Rebbe started this song, and actually, right after the Hasidim started singing the song, the French dropped the song. And everyone's remarked that every country has an angel, and because the Hasidim sang this song, so the angel of France saw this has become has become a Hasidic song. It's been transformed, it's been elevated, and therefore they dropped it. I think they have since readopted it, but the initial singing of the song by the Hasidim caused the angel to realize, hey, this isn't for me. Anyways, so the Rebbe then told these French visitors these words. This song will allow you to make a revolution against the evil inclination with joy and with gladness of heart, and to prepare to greet Mashiach. This song will allow you to cause this revolution against the evil inclination, and with joy and gladness of heart, and to prepare to greet Mashiach the King. And so 770 then, that night, after the Hakafis, all of the Hasidim want to learn the new song. So these Frenchies, every bench in 770 had a French guy in the center, and he was teaching everyone the new song. And that's what happened that night. So this small group actually did cause this revolution. Let me tell you one anecdote which highlights this teaching of Rebbe Marash going straight over. Um, uh, One day, Rabbi Malul, one Hanukkah, Rabbi Malul is in Rabbi Yazima's office, in his Chabad center. He's talking with him. A guy walks in, and the guy says he's having a very hard time. This guy today is a Chabad Chassid, full sense of the word. He's having a very hard time. Why was he having a hard time? Because in the building where he lived, in the apartment building where he lived, there was a branch of the of Christian missionaries. There was a throughout France and Paris, many branches of this group of missionaries. And whenever he walked in and out of the building, they would yell at him, they would scorn him, they would throw things at him, they would throw garbage at him, and he couldn't take it anymore. So Rabbi Yazimov, like, what should I do? These guys are driving me crazy. They're ruining my life. I walk in and out of my apartment, and every time they yell at me, they scream at me, they throw things at me, throw garbage at me. What should I do? Rabbi Yazimov said, "We need to do is you need to write a letter to the Rebbe. Ask the Rebbe for a blessing." Okay. He writes a letter to the Rebbe, and shortly afterwards he received the Rebbe's response. The Rebbe responded, "Betach harav shebe'irai." Certainly the rabbi in your city will help you to lifel neged hamasisim, to have an effect against those who are missionizing, those who are seducing, those who do the wrong thing. Okay. He gets his answer and he brings it to Rabbi Yazimov. Rabbi Yazimov was someone whose connection to the Rebbe knew no bounds. Rabbi Yazimov got an instruction from the Rebbe. He didn't see anything else. Just saw the instruction from the Rebbe, and that's all he saw. So Rabbi Yazimov, he gets this letter from this guy saying, go to the rabbi in the city. Rabbi Yazimov said this, the Rebbe should take care of it. The Rebbe said the rabbi in the city should take care of it, which is a farbrengen in itself. Anyways, so Rabbi Yazimov gets this letter from the Rebbe. You can imagine you have to do something here. That's the Rebbe telling you, you need to do something. What's it going to do? Rabbi Yazimov thought, and he says, we need to go to the head of the entire missionary movement in Paris. We need to go directly to the head of the entire missionary movement in Paris. We need to go directly to them. And after some research, he discovered the address of the person who was in charge of all the various branches of this missionary movement. And he asked two guys to come with him. We're going. And they discover there's this beautiful mansion in the center of Paris, very Italian architecture, very wealthy neighborhood. And he together with these other two guys, they go directly to into the home. Rabbi Zima, without thinking twice, he goes straight to the door and knocks on the door. This gentleman opens the door, dressed in the latest fashion, and before he's like a little shocked to see these three rabbis at his door, and before he could think about what he should do, they're already inside. And when they come inside, there's this long table, and there are about 20 people sitting all around the table. And so these were people. Each of these people there were running another branch of the missionary movement throughout France, and they're all gathered together that night. The night the rabbis came, they happened to be having a meeting about their activities. So this guy, the owner of the home, the head of the whole entire group, without thinking twice, he's like, "Okay, guys, sit around the table," and he says, "Let me tell you who I am. Who am I?" He starts telling the following story. He says, I'm Jewish, and I come from Gerer Hasidim. I come from Poland. And he said, when the Nazis came, I escaped Poland, and I came by myself to Paris. And because I was alone here, I got in touch with this priest, and the priest was in charge of the missionizing in Paris. And basically, I was very close to him, and he befriended me. And so when he died, I assumed leadership of missionizing in Paris. So Rabbi Yazimov says to him, because you're a Jew and we're here because of the mission of the Rebbe, it would be appropriate that you put on tefillin. Certainly, Rabbi Zimov says, it's not forbidden for you to put on tefillin. The guy thought for several minutes, and I was looking at it. And after a few minutes, he says, "You're right. It's not against the law. It's not against our rules. I can't put on tefillin." So as Rabbi Zimov was putting on tefillin with this guy, Rabbi Malul goes around the table and starts asking everyone where they're from, who they are. Turns out most of the people on the table, most of the people running this missionary movement are all Jews. In fact, one of them was once in a yeshiva. And he starts putting on tefillin with all of them, with the Jews who were there. All the Jews that were there all agreed to put on tefillin. So this was Hanukkah. And so as the conversation continued about Judaism, Rabbi Azimov says, it's time to light the menorah. The guy's like, no, 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 no. That we're not going to light the menorah. No, not. Rabbi Azimov persisted. He said, no, this is Hanukkah, and I want you to light the menorah. It's a special thing to light the menorah. Certainly, this is not against the laws for you to light the menorah. And it was difficult. The guy didn't want to do it, but the klippa, the concealment of godliness, in this person's soul peeled away, and he relit the menorah. And so this had a marked effect on not just that for just that moment, but as the Rebbe said, certainly the rabbi in the city will help you to impact against those who are missionizing. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It was as the Rebbe said, the rabbi will help you to make an impact against the missionaries. So this group, returning from the Rebbe, were very, very devoted to this Hasidic way of life. And the Rebbe told each of them privately that they should stay in university, stay in college. And staying in college, they'll be able to have an effect on the students. And each of these students considered it a personal mission from the Rebbe to impact their universities. And amazing things started to happen. These guys, Rabbi Mulul shared, made 50 classes a week. They had 50 classes a week in all different universities. And all of a sudden, there were people wearing yarmulkes, kippas, and tzitzis. And in university, it was unheard of at that time for people to wear kippas and tzitzis. 1969, 1970, all of a sudden there was this excitement. It was impossible at that time to get Chol of Yisrael cheese or no such thing as kosher restaurants in Paris. Today there's more kosher restaurants there than there's in Jerusalem. But at that time there was nothing. And so just an interesting and also demonstrates the approach of Rabbi Azimov, going straight over. There are no obstacles. So not only this group caused this renaissance and bring thousands and thousands of people closer to Hashem and Torah mitzvahs, and it's growing and growing. Just one anecdote about Rabbi Azimov himself. Rabbi Azimov inspired a certain group of Jews, 15 families in a remote area, to keep Torah mitzvahs. And again, there was no such a thing as Pas Yisrael, Chol Yisrael. They couldn't get. There were some Hasidic families in Benoit, certain Hasidic families in Ovlier, but in Paris there was nothing. So they went. They said we literally starved. Rabbi Mulul says we starved. There was no meat, no cheese, no milk. We starved. We had a hard time when we ate someone's house. We had food otherwise, and they were so dedicated that they were doing this. It was very hard. Anyways, so Rabbi Azimov, he had this group of 15 families. And they told Rabbi Azimov said that it's very important you guys have only milk, Chol of Yisrael milk. Chol of Yisrael milk. Rabbi Azimov, how should we do that? There is no such a thing as Chol of Yisrael milk. What should we give our children? Rabbi Azimov went twice a week. He took huge, as much as he could carry, buckets of bottles of milk, took them with him. Twice a week, he went on a train to bring them Chol of Yisrael, so that these Jews in this far off town should have Chol of Yisrael. And you can imagine it wasn't just having the Chol of Yisrael milk, but seeing the sacrifice and devotion of Rabbi Azimov, that had a major impression on them. So That is the beginning of the excitement for Torah mitzvahs that is still growing, Baruch Hashem, in Paris and France. And as Rabbi Zimov always credited this to the Rebbe's and the Rebbitzins, a few years they spent in Paris. If I remember correctly, the Rebbitzin said, maybe the Rebbe said, we plowed and we planted, and now it's time to reap. Now it's time to harvest what was accomplished by the Rebbe's presence there and the Rebbitzins' presence there. Bottom line is, the Rebbe Rash teaches us, don't lower the bar. Don't think small. Think big. Know who's going with you. Know there's no such thing as an opposition. Know that Hashem is going with you, and therefore there is no opposition. And a Jew makes a decision to go a step towards Mashiach, a step closer to redemption, a step closer to Hashem. Nothing stands in his or her way, and that's the bottom line. Any questions, comments, or criticisms made as the cucumbers? Gdvach Esther Miriam, Gdvach Mendel, Gdvach Chaim Mendel, Gdvach Beryl, Gdvach Baruch, Gdvach Michal David. Akut Gdvach Afredige Vach.
كده بقى.